Welcome to Beyond the Bedroom and another interview and another segment with two presenters this time. We have Sheri Winston and Carl Frankel. Sheri is going to be our keynote presenter as well as doing a presentation, as well as doing a follow-up weekend just after Beyond the Bedroom. So we'll talk about all of that. And Carl is also going to be speaking as well as a presenter, and he's here with his partner, Sheri. So thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Thanks for having us.
So let's just go ahead and start off with you're going to be doing a keynote presentation, Sheri. So tell us a little bit about what that's going to look like.
Well, I'm going to be talking about how everyone has the ability inside themselves to access ecstasy. It's our birthright. My background before I was a holistic sexuality teacher is that I was a home birth midwife. And so I've seen babies get born, and I know when we get born, we're just templated for ecstasy. Most of us didn't have that experience, but it's there inside us. And so everything I teach is really about connection. How do we connect first to ourselves and what's in here, and then how can we connect in amazing ways with other people? But it begins with this connection to ourselves and understanding that we have pathways in here that we can access that can connect us to our pleasure, our bliss, and our ecstasy. And that's what I'm going to be talking about. And then we're actually going to play with it a little. We'll do some breathing and making some sound and seeing how easy it is once the path is illuminated. And you're like, oh, there's a path right there. Oh, I can just go down that anytime I want and get to that state. So that's what the keynote's going to be about, and that's some of what we're doing.
And you mentioned that you're a former midwife. Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, now I'm a holistic sexuality teacher and author, and I run the Center for the Intimate Arts, and I founded that about 14 years ago. But before that, I spent 20-something years in the world of birth. I like to think of it as kneeling at the altar of birth, because that's where I learned a lot of the foundational ideas that I bring to my holistic sexuality teaching. I'm actually a certified nurse midwife, gynecology practitioner, registered nurse, licensed massage therapist, and childbirth educator, and I was a doula, and I did birth work for what I thought was going to be, I actually thought it was going to be for the rest of my life. So I was kind of surprised when that calling shifted, and now I realize I went deeper into the same mystery, basically. I'm now think that the birth process was the first place I started learning about how to have really amazing sex. Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. I've come across a number of gynecologists through my career, if you call it that, and it's amazing how little some of those people actually know about women's bodies. They know the vaginal area, they know the birth canal, they know the fallopian tubes, things like that, but pleasure and sexuality, they know very little about.
Well, unfortunately, that's true, and it doesn't surprise me. If I tell people I used to be a midwife and now I'm a sex teacher, most people go, huh? What's birth got to do with sex? I know, right? Well, like, all right, we know that sex gets the baby started, but the truth is that labor and arousal are almost the exact same altered state of consciousness. And all of the things I was learning for years to help women have better labors and, in fact, perhaps even ecstatic, orgasmic birth experiences were things that I was discovering were helping me have better sex. And so it's really understanding that it's all completely integral. None of that is separate. It's part of the same process. And one of the reasons we actually do such a disastrous job in this country with birth is because we don't understand it as a sexual process.
So you've got a class that you're going to be teaching called Succulent, Sexcraft. And I believe that's also a book that you've got coming out as well. Can you tell us about that?
So it goes from what I was just saying about how I started learning when I was working with women how to help them use things like breath and sound and affirmations and intention and imagery and keep their hearts open and not be afraid, and all of these things that I was using to help women in labor, I actually first unconsciously was using for myself to have better sex. And when I became aware that that's what I was doing, then I started studying the various sexuality disciplines, the ancient ones like the Taoist sexuality and Native American and Tantra, and started creating this really integral understanding that everybody has this toolkit and we're born with it and we just have to learn how to use it. It's like learning how to play an instrument or speak another language. And most of us, we've been kind of got blocked or confused or inhibited about using those tools. But once we start realizing, oh, they're really simple, they're right here, and this is how I can play with them, then we can start to develop what I think of as becoming a master of your erotic energy, or I also call it erotic virtuosity. And then everyone can develop it. And that's what that class is about. It's helping people discover the tools they already have and giving them some ideas about how they can use them to have really amazing arousal, expanded orgasm, and all kinds of other outrageous forms of pleasure.
Great. So the class is going to be kind of an intro to what the book is covering as well?
Yeah, the class is an intro to the book. And in fact, the following weekend when we're doing the workshops, there's going to be a whole day intensive that's about that.
And people can find out about that on the Beyond the Bedroom website as well. It is calendared in there the following weekend. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So we're looking forward to that as well. So Carl, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, my background is as a writer and entrepreneur. I've been doing it for a long time. My focus historically was on socially responsible business. And going on 8 years ago, this lady and I got together and my life got turned upside down and it changed. I started working with her in her business, and I also got exposed to this extraordinary world that she inhabits of sexuality teaching, and there's a whole community of interest around this. And it was fascinating. It's been a fascinating ride for me. So as a writer, that's gotten me thinking more about sex and relationships and less about socially responsible business, although I just published a book about that too, if it happens. So I just finished a short book called The Paradise Project, Love in the More Perfect Union. And it's being published probably first only in Kindle, but ultimately as hard copy too, this September. So right before the conference. And I'm really excited to be at the conference and talking about this. I wrote it, so of course I'm excited about it. But I think it's a really exciting and innovative model of relationship that's really going to help people get insights into the challenges of relationship, and they're not insignificant, as we all know.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, the class you're teaching is also called The Paradise Project. So tell us a little bit about that. Is it an introduction to the book as well?
It is. It's sort of a short course or an overview of what is in fact a short book. And the reality is that when we get together, we fall madly in love and we think we're just going to float away on angel wings forever. That's what we aspire to. The reality of relationship is much more complicated than that. We don't only want to be cuddling and huddling and connecting, which we want to do and should be doing. We also want to express our autonomy, our life vitality, and live full lives as independent beings. And the challenge is to marry these two so we can be loving and intimate and safe and passionate, and also support our partners to be as free and powerful in their own autonomy and individuality as they can be.
And that really is important. I talk to a number of people all the time. They're looking, it's like, how do I extend my relationship? I mean, we were so in love for the first 3 to 4 years, and now we're not in love anymore. And I think they're confusing what in love really means. So that sounds great. So take your class and understand a little bit how to extend that. Take Sheri's class to be much more orgasmic and excited in life. It sounds really good. It sounds like a great combination.
I hope it is, and certainly it's been a great combination for us, I'll tell you.
Definitely works for us.
Yeah, definitely works for us.
Is there anything that you guys would like to throw out there?
I can always say something, and I'm sure you can too.
Well, I'd love to let people know that after the conference, we're doing 3 workshops the following weekend. So there's lots more yumminess if people want more.
And it's always fun going to gatherings of like-minded, curious people. And I'm sure it's true for Sheri too, but I'm really looking forward to being there. And it's not just about presenting, it's about connecting, it's about learning. And I'm really looking forward to being part of that experience. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it is a lot of fun. Don't forget the masquerade party on Friday night, the 18th. Bring your costumes. It's a blast. It's amazing how people really become completely different people when they put a mask on. Their inhibitions drop. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I like it. It's a lot of fun. And then you're teaching both. One of you, I think, is teaching on Saturday. One's teaching on Sunday. I don't remember which offhand. And then the following weekend as well. So that'll be a much more intensive that following weekend, where we can really get some hands-on uh, discovery of what it is that's going on. Uh, I know the Friday night class is based on your book, Sheri. Was it the Anatomy of Women's Arousal?
Women's Anatomy of Arousal.
I always get that backwards.
Secret Maps to Buried Pleasure, which is an award-winning book that I wrote, which is a really integral revisioning of female anatomy and sexuality. And it's, you would think with all the years I've spent in school learning particularly about female anatomy, I would have learned it all. But the truth is that our cultural map, including what's taught to medical professionals, is incomplete and inaccurate. And I spent years on that hunt for buried pleasure, finding out what was missing, why it's there, how it's connected, and of course, how to make it very happy. So it's a class for men and women. It's a lavishly illustrated, really fun, extremely useful talk presentation, and that's Friday night. And it's I just think everybody needs this information if you own the equipment or you like to visit and play with the equipment.
If this were a rational world, it would be required reading for everybody on their 18th birthday.
Yeah, that is so important. It's so valuable. I can't tell you how many guys that I've talked to as well, speaking of guys being in these classes, who think, oh, I know everything that I need to know. And I feel so sorry for the women in their lives and how little these women are going to understand what true pleasure really is. Uh,
Yeah.
Dan,
Well, I'll
ahead.
just say I was just teaching this class, and among my audience, I had a good number of men, including a good number of young men, 16, 18-year-olds, and they were riveted to this information. So women don't know this information, men don't know it. Most sex teachers, sex educators, medical professionals, including gynecologists and midwives, don't know this. I used to I still do, give a guarantee. If you come to this class and you don't learn anything new, I'll give you your money back. No one has ever taken me up on it in 16 years I've been teaching this class, because there's just stuff that isn't out there. So, and when you get it, it's amazing. It's just for me, for women, it just expands your experience in this amazing way. And for men, it's like, oh, okay, I finally understand why this works and how I can make things work even better. So it's useful stuff.
Yep, you're preaching to the choir here, but hopefully our audience will recognize the value of it as well. And then that's a good point you bring up too about the younger generation. I know it's mostly the men that I've been talking to have been in their 40s, 50s, who think that they have to know it all. I mean, it's kind of a cultural ideal that men pretty much know how to have sex and please our women from the age of 2 years old. I mean, it's just inherited thing. And that's not true at all. And fortunately, the younger generation, the 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds, they are more open to learning. They recognize that they don't know everything that's out there and they can be much better. So kudos to that generation. We invite them to attend Beyond the Bedroom as well as the weekend following. So, anybody can be there, it'd be great.
I think we're on a lifelong learning journey, and the day that I think I know it all, and I think will be the day that I don't think I'll ever be at that day, because there's always more to learn. There's always more to learn. That's the fun. Why wouldn't we want to be learning more?
Yeah, and the exploration, the hunt for female orgasm, to tie into male orgasm. I mean, male orgasm can even be better than most Americans, at least, understand it to be. So
Oh yeah,
and the standard version ain't bad.
yeah.
yeah, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the standard version, but I know that there's a lot more that's available to them, and they hopefully will understand that and come out and learn more. All right. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate your time. Uh, we'll see you in a short amount of time coming up, and very much looking forward to it.
Likewise.
Delighted to be attending. Really looking forward to it and getting really excited about it.
Good. We'll see you soon. Bye bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.